In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Sightmark 124 Rapid AR scope. It's budget friendly, but is it good? In a recent video, we looked at the Sightmark Wolfhound 6X prismatic sight, and I was left thoroughly impressed at the value that you get for the money. One of the more recent trends in the rifle community has been to go with a low power magnification scope as an in-between solution between a heavier and higher magnification 3-9 scope and an unmagnified red dot. You have everything from low-end leapers and bushnells to high-end Nightforce, Zeiss, and Trigicons. With the success of the Wolfhound, I wanted to take a look at the Rapid AR 124 to see if it's just as good of a value, and Sightmark fortunately sent me one to try. The scope competes with the likes of the Nikon M223 and Force 1000 lines, the Burris TAC 30, and other similar offerings, and is priced just under $300. Just as we did before, let's take a look at what comes in the box, discuss some of the features, and then I'll give you my first impressions after having some time to shoot it at the range and play with it at home. The scope comes in a fairly nice box, and the packaging is consistent with other Sightmark products which I have recently viewed. On top of the packaging, you will find the name of the series of the scopes, you will find the Sightmark model number, and you will also find Sightmark's lifetime warranty seal. On the front panel, you will have some of the major features discussed in English, and on the two sides you have the same thing in both Spanish and French. On the back of the packaging, you will have a few more detailed specs for all three languages. Moving on, inside the packaging, you will find an instruction manual, which is going to be for the entire series of the scopes that you're looking at. You will have the scope itself, and it's going to have the rubber lens caps already attached. You will also find a cleaning cloth, and you will also have the CR2032 battery that I've already installed into that scope. So let's discuss some of the features. The scope I'm testing is the 124 model with the reticle for 300 Blackout. Now the scope is also available with the 223 and 308 reticles. The bullet drop compensated reticles were designed with hunting in mind, however the 223 reticle may also be used for range finding, USPSA, IPSC, or 3-gun targets. The center crosshairs light up red and have 10 adjustable settings if you wish to use them. You can cycle through the settings by pressing the button on the side, or you can turn off the reticle by holding it down for 30 seconds. The turrets are locking, and each click adjusts 0.5 or half MOA. That means 2 clicks per 1 inch at 100 yards. As per Sightmark, the scope has a 100 MOA windage and elevation adjustment built in. As per Sightmark, the scope has fairly generous eye relief of 4.5 inches, and there's a diopter adjustment from +3 to -3, and you can do so by rotating it right there. The scope body is made of 6061 aluminum, and it is IP67 water rated. As expected, the scope is shockproof, fog-proof, waterproof, and the lenses are fully multi-coated. So let's talk about my first impressions. The scope is certainly well made, and it feels more expensive than its $300 price point suggests, and certainly well above the street price that you can find it for. It reminded me very much of the Nikon M223 124 scope that I had before, and perhaps this one even seems to have a little bit higher light transmission. The glass is certainly on par with some of the higher end Nikon Monarchs and some loopholes. Another one that this scope reminded me of is Burris. I've owned a number of Burris scopes, and the glass is about equal at the price point. The difference is the build quality and feature set here seems just a bit better value. The big difference with them is that the scope has built-in light-up reticle. I did not have any issues adjusting the magnification, and the windage adjustments have a nice tactile click. What I did not like as much, however, was how thin the caps are. I can certainly see people having issues, especially if you're older, if you have bigger hands. If these caps get on a little too tight, it might be a little bit pain in the butt trying to get them off. Lastly, as with most other scopes in this price point, I would absolutely recommend getting one of those throw levers, because it is fine and you do have texturing here to kind of help adjust it, but it would be a lot easier just to put a throw lever on here, and especially once it's mounted, just to adjust the magnification that way. One of the comments that I received from the previous video is that you guys liked seeing the water test, so let's continue with it. Sightmark says that this scope is IP67 compliant. What this means is that it should be fairly safe to submerge this scope at depths of up to 1 meter deep for as long as 1 hour. Let's take a look. As you can see, I have turned it on. The caps are on finger tight. Everything's in. So let's get started. And what I'm doing, so you can see it's 5:36. There you go. And we're going to start the timer for 1 hour. And we're off. So, ever wonder what happens to a scope after you forgot that you dumped it in water and then had errands to run? Well, it's been a bit over an hour. I totally forgot to check in after about 30 minutes or so. It's 6:39 right now. So it's been about an hour and 5 minutes or so. So let's take a look at if the scope works. Haven't moved it, haven't touched it. Ooh, the water's cold. And wow. As you can see, the reticle is still on. Yeah, it's still on. Everything is still working. Just a few water drops on the outside. So I will take a look at it. I'll dry it up and then take a look. But everything so far looks really, really good. Once again, color me impressed with the Sightmark products. Bottom line, I think there are two ways we can look at the scope. On its own merits, the scope is very good and it's an excellent value for what it provides. It's one of the few that's available with a 300 Blackout reticle, so if that's something that you're looking for, it earns a few more points. If you're considering the 223 or 308 versions, however, you do have a few more things to think about. The glass is certainly good, and it did not leave me looking for more, especially for a 1:4 magnification. And it's certainly on par or better than what you can find from the competition. No, it's not a $1,000 Leupold or a Trijicon, but it doesn't pretend to be either. It's an excellent scope for the money. The other way to think about it is from a relative value versus what's available from the peers. Unlike the Wolfhound 6X, which I love and was a clear winner in the value department, the Rapid AR 1 and 4 has quite a bit more competition in that $200 to $350 range, and they carry a name on them that would probably impress your friends a bit more. Sightmark is not one of those, yet. So the question is then, do you want to pay 25 to 50% more to get the illuminated reticle and slightly better build quality? If you find the scope on sale, however, it would be an even better value. So there you go. I hope that was helpful, and if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Take care.